minutes before 7 o'clock here on Morning Live. Thank you so much indeed for staying with us. Now, on Friday, credit ratings agency S&P Global downgraded South Africa's rating to full junk status, while Moody's has placed the country on review for downgrade. This has long been speculated on, given the country's economic as well as the political front. Meanwhile, a fortnight ago, Minister of Finance Minister Gigaba attended an investment conference in the US and Asia, trying to lure investors into the country. It is yet to be seen whether that exercise will sway potential investors. Joining us this morning to take this discussion further is Dr Peter Baur. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Johannesburg in the Department of Economics. Doctor, good morning to you. Always good to see you.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you so much indeed. I want us to start by breaking this down for an ordinary South African on the street. Double B or BB positive, junk status, what does it mean for me?
Okay, well, think about it as a household. You need to take a loan from the bank. If you have a poor credit record, gaining access to capital becomes extremely difficult, if not more expensive. So basically, households are going to find it more and more difficult to raise the funds that they need to invest further within their household in order to grow. Countries work on the same sort of principle. We need additional funds to build, for example, given our last speaker, power stations. So if we need to raise those funds, we're going to look at our international markets. As we've been downgraded, South Africa is considered a country of high levels of, shall we say, financial and economic risk. As such, gaining access to the capital becomes, firstly, more expensive, and secondly, sort of, shall we say, more uncertain. So when we start taking a look at what this could mean for our economy, it could mean like, how are we going to find the funds in order to generate the kind of economic growth that we so desperately need right now?
Which is a huge problem. I mean, if you even take into consideration what the minister had to say during the midterm budget, it's not promising. And some analysts are saying that this means job losses.
It could, especially, well, put it in another way, it's as the economy grows or tries to grow, the amount of new jobs that we're creating is not sufficient to support the people entering into the market. I mean, just take a look now. We have, we're coming to the end of a matric cycle. So we've got many young people now entering into the workforce. And the youth employment absorption rate is extremely low. We're looking at approximately between 5 kids, if they're lucky, out of 10, who will be able to be absorbed into the labor market. And this is going to put more pressure on parents, it's going to put more pressure on households. Where's this income going to come from?
And we also have students that are completing their studies at varsities.
That's right. You know, on a tertiary level, I think this is why many kids who leave school choose the university option, because they believe that that might be an option for future employment. But even graduates leaving universities are finding it more and more difficult to find a stable, shall we say, position or a long-term position.
Yeah, and some say it's not really the end of the world. South Africa has actually lived through this during the apartheid era into the Dr. Mandela era. What were the repercussions then, and what is the downside now?
Of course, you know, we need to generate as much growth now as possible, and we need every cent that we can raise in order to reinvest into the economy. We need foreign investors to look into the country, and we need to be able to sell more bonds. With the downgrading of our credit ratios, foreign investors are horribly discouraged. Bond sales obviously reduced, and so finding that capital to generate that growth is going to be a concern. You know, trying to compare what happened pre-94, post-94, two, so shall we say, very difficult scenarios right now to sort of like compare. But however, right now we are facing a very serious problem that needs to be addressed. And I think by taking on a move against corruption, a move against, shall we say, mismanagement, that is actually, I think, taking steps in the right kind of direction.
Yeah. And of course, we're waiting for Moody. They're waiting for the ANC's elective conference to take place next month. Now, Treasury responding to this downgrade, saying that they will outline decisive, plans and measures. Do you have hope?
In a sense, if that may work, but the problem again is we have so few taxpayers in the country. I think we're sitting somewhere between like 6.5 million and 10 million taxpayers, and we've got a population of dependents of, let's say, 54 million people in South Africa. So we don't have sufficient tax base in order to raise the funds. So we can't put all the, shall we say, all the responsibility on Treasury and say, okay, let's take as much money from the people and try and hand it over, so shall we say, from the income earners and hand it over to those that also need to benefit from this. We're talking about social grants, the pressure on that. We're talking about funds for hospitals, funds for building additional power stations. We are seriously financially constrained, and we need this money because we need to generate that growth. That
revenue shortage of over 50 billion rand. It's a lot of money.
That's
well,
correct.
Dr. Baur, let's leave it at that for now, but thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
There you have it. That was Dr. Peter Baur from the University of Johannesburg talking to us about the downgrading of the country into junk status. As I said, we're yet to see what Moody has in store for us. Of course, as they said, they're waiting for the ANC's elective conference to take place. We're taking a break here on Morning Live. Your news at 7 will follow. Stay tuned.